All right. Welcome everybody to day 3 of the free holiday meal prep challenge. This is the day where we meal prep, right? Super duper excited that you guys are all here. We are going to be starting with a quick little mise en place. So for anybody that's just jumping in, maybe they just got back from the grocery store and they haven't had time to get everything ready, I'm going to physically get all of the things that we need for the recipe done so you can see how I mise en place, so you know how to do this in the future, and maybe get like your other stuff for the other 2 recipes if you want to. Taya said, so for doing the pre-meals, you may have already covered it yesterday, but I don't have a bunch of small bowls to use. Yeah, you don't have to put them in individual containers. I only recommend that really 100% of the time for lunches if you're going to take them to go. Or maybe you work the night shift and you take your own dinner, right? But everything else you can put in family style. Whatever food storage containers you have, just roll with that now. Okay, great question. All right, so if you're just joining us now, please drop your first and last name in the chat so I can record that you were here and enter your entry for the giveaway. I'm super excited. I have lots of giveaways going on here. And then after today's training, if you take a picture of your food and post it in the group with a little testimony for how it's going or how it went for you, you'll get 5 more entries. So I'm hoping to have this basket filled by tomorrow at 2 p.m., which is our last training. And at the end of tomorrow's training, I'll be drawing the winner. Okay. So I'm curious, while we have the chat open, I'd love to know which prize you guys are most interested or most excited to win. So we have the Flair-Free Pantry Makeover mini course. We have the holiday recipes, which is 2 different sets of Thanksgiving recipes. You can use them for Christmas as well. And then my holiday baking ebook. That's the holiday bundle, recipe bundle. And then I have my Flair-Free meal prep solution course, which is the big daddy, the big prize. It's a $697 value. It's a 6-week self-paced meal prep course that's going to take everything that we learned right now and all the momentum we have and take it to the next level, which I'm super excited about. So go ahead and drop in the chat which prize you're most excited to win. The holiday recipes and the Flair-Free meal prep course. Yes, Teresa. Yes. Holiday and meal prep. Yay! Yes. Holiday recipes. Awesome. Meal prep course and the containers. Ooh, that'd be nice. Yes. The Big Daddy meal prep and ebook. Ooh, okay, good. Yay. All right. Thanks for sharing that, guys. And I sent you guys in the email today a copy of the graphic that I posted in the group. If you want to win a set of those 10 glass meal prep containers, you just have to share that graphic on whatever favorite social media platform you like. Just tag me at Chef Laura Rodriguez so I can see it. If your account is marked private, make sure that you, what's the word I'm looking for? Make sure that you
take a picture.
Take a screenshot of it and send it to me. Yes, thank you. I'm a little bit nervous that Deb, you're a whiz at this, right? If I have my computer as the one that's recording.
I like that way much better. It's bigger. We can see it.
Okay. I have like fear of not getting the recording done. Okay, good. All right. So I have you guys also on gallery view, which means I can see all of you. So if you wanted to turn your video on, that's really helpful for me as we're cooking, because I'm going to ask you to visually give me a thumbs up when you're done with whatever task we're working on, so I know we can move on to the next task. Otherwise, you might get left behind. So if you want to go ahead and turn your video on, and then as we're going through, just I'll tell you, I'll cue you, give me a thumbs up when you're done with that task. And let me know at any time if you can't see my board, okay? All right, let's see. Okay, so then at the end, after we cook, I'm sorry, I just had a list of things I wanted to tell you guys. At the end, after we cook, I'm just gonna like talk you through the salad and the egg bake if you want to continue on and make those on your own, okay? And then I will be available in the group until 5 p.m. to answer any questions you want. I'm just gonna be sitting here drinking a glass of wine with my phone open ready for you guys, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and mise en place. I'm going to do half of this recipe because we're leaving for Europe in like a day. Okay, so I'm only doing half of this recipe. So I did make the edits on here, so hopefully I don't say anything, but I will say I have a ton of sweet potatoes for my garden, so I chopped my own sweet potatoes. And as I was looking at it, I'm like, this is like 1.5 containers. This is like what I wrote for the full recipe. I'm going to make the full amount of mashed potatoes. So we'll see today if I wrote that the right quantity of potatoes we needed, or if we needed more for the shepherd's pie bowl. So we're going to work that out together today. I'm going to make the full amount of potatoes, but half of everything else. Okay. So just so you don't get confused if I ever say the quantity and you're like, that's not what I need to do. Okay. And then last but not least, oh no, that was it. We already talked about the hand waving thing. Okay, so I'm going to mise en place really quick. If you have not had time to mise en place too, let's do it together. I'm going to grab 1 pound of ground beef. I'm going to grab my green beans. We need water for cooking, which I'll grab in a second. Some butter, some almond milk, potatoes, which I had to dice earlier. Could just pretend that these are pre-diced from the grocery store. And then, so we got beef, we got green beans, we got butter, we got milk, and we got potatoes. Now I'm going to move over to my equipment. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to grab oil and salt and pepper as well. So I don't have any avocado oil spray, and I'm trying not to buy groceries right now. So I'm going to just do olive oil today, but avocado oil spray or avocado oil is what I would normally recommend. It's darker now on the video. Oh no. Okay. Let me move my lights closer. Let me move my lights closer, guys. Sorry about that. Let's see if this helps. Thank you guys for your patience with this and telling me all the things. Let's see if this helps bring some more light into the camera. Let me know. No? Still looks dark, doesn't it? It's a little backlit this time of day. That's the best I can do.
It looks good.
Looks okay? Okay.
Yeah.
If we have issues, let me know. All right, so we got our food. Now I'm going to grab all of the equipment. Where did I put my list? Okay. So cutting board and knife. I always leave this right here, so I've already got that. I need 2 large rimmed baking sheets and parchment paper. Okay, since I'm doing half the recipe, yes, Deb, go ahead.
I'm only going to do half the beef, and then I'm going to use mushrooms just to
Okay, that's perfect. That's great. That's awesome. You can also cut your beef with lentils. That's a great idea. Since I'm doing half the recipe, I'm going to use these small sheet trays, and I grabbed 3 because I just wanted to show you guys. Normally, when I'm mise en place, when I'm making multiple meals, I put everything like on a tray. So that way I can go grab it and bring it over to my station because I have a small island. So I kind of have to put stuff everywhere. Okay, so I put my containers out, I put my food out, and then I bring everything that I need for each dish to this cutting station, and then I work here, okay? So I just wanted to teach you guys that. Okay. I also need, oh, and also I got these parchment paper sheets. So you don't have to like pull out the roll and cut it. They're already pre-cut. These are a great time saver as well.
Yes.
Okay. Then I need a wooden spoon, tongs, a medium pot with a lid. So let's get wooden spoon, tongs. So if you're doing this with me, we need a wooden spoon and tongs, a medium pot with a lid. This is to make our mashed potatoes. So we need a pot that we can fit these these potatoes in and cover it with water. So I'm going to grab a medium pot with a lid. And then why don't we do this together right now while we're right here? This is a great chance to just do this. Let's all grab our pot. If you already have this pulled out, let's go fill it up halfway. Let's fill this up halfway with water. Okay. And then the last thing we need to mise en place is a strainer and a potato masher. So let's get all of our equipment out really quick. Potato masher and a strainer. All right, so I'm gonna set my equipment kind of over by the sink, right? Or by the stove, wherever I'm gonna need it. But when I'm mise en placing multiple meals, I'll put the equipment on the tray with the food. That way I can grab it over. Sometimes you're gonna be able to use, you might be able to use this wooden spoon multiple times for multiple recipes, so just put it on the one that it calls for first, okay? All right. Are we ready to cook? Let's do it. Okay. Yay, thumbs up. I love it. All right, so you can see this recipe does not include instructions because I love to teach you guys how to cook from feeling in this course that I am opening tomorrow. And so I wanted you to get a feel for that. I think this is another important time-saving hack. When you don't have to look down at a recipe, you can save time, okay? So the more you do this, the more you might be able to work towards that. But today, because I'm here, you get to just listen to the beautiful sound of my voice and cook along with me, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Let's grab our sheet tray. Now this one does not need parchment paper because we're gonna cook our meat on this. So if you followed the instructions on the meal prep packet prep list, it should have said like open all your meat packages and leave them out at room temp. Did you do that? Okay, cool. Since I didn't do that, I'm just going to open my meat right now. If you're here with me and you were last minute and you didn't have time to prep too, let's open our meat and just plop it down on our sheet tray. Not on our cutting board, on our sheet tray. All right. All right, now what we're going to do, before you wash your hands, go ahead and and I'm going to show you in the camera really quick, squish this meat down into an even layer. Because we already touched a meat package, we have to wash our hands. So why don't we just get our hands dirty really quick and squish your meat down into an even layer. If you're grossed out by that, you can use a wooden spoon. Okay. I see some questions in the chat, so I'm going to turn my head, or I'm going to turn my back to you guys for a second to wash my hands, and I'm going to come back and read the chat. You guys do the same, okay? Penny would be awesome. Oh, okay. We're talking about the prizes. Okay, good. I'm prepped but need to cook it this evening. Okay. So I'm watching and writing notes now. Oh, good. That's great, Suzette. Melinda said I'm emptying the dishwasher. Yeah, been there. Had to switch from phone to computer to Suzette's here. Okay. Okay, cool. Oh, that was the other thing. I had one more thing I needed to mention, guys, because we had a question that came in the group or via text message. And so the person said, I was going to come, but now I can't. So I have to answer her question for the replay. She asked if she could meal prep today and freeze everything. And you absolutely can. Here's my 2 suggestions. If you want to eat it as a meal, as a shepherd's pie bowl, freeze all of the components separately so you can reheat them separately, scoop them into bowls and eat them that way. If you want to eat it as a casserole, layer it traditionally as a shepherd's pie casserole and freeze it that way and just bake it as a casserole. Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and put this in our broiler on the middle shelf of the oven, okay? Let's put it in the oven on the middle rack and let's set our broiler to high at 500 degrees.
Laura,
Yes, ma'am.
do we spray the avocado on top of the meat?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. Sorry.
I just
You
wondered.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you're using conventional meat from the store, you won't have to do this, but we're using grass-fed meat, and so it's very lean, and it could benefit from having a little bit of oil to help it along. So let's spray it with oil. If you have to drizzle, that's fine. And actually, let's salt and pepper it. Thank you, Deb. I started packing today. I've been working on tomorrow's training. My head's all over the place. Hi, Megan. As you guys are coming in late, if you don't mind, drop your first and last name in the chat so I can record that you're live for the giveaway. We are at the point where we have spread out our grass-fed beef on a sheet tray, and we've drizzled it or sprayed it with oil, and we've seasoned it with salt and pepper. And now we're going to pop it on the middle rack of our oven and set the broiler to 500 degrees on high. So when you've got your meat in the oven, come give me a thumbs up so I know. Yay! Yes, yes. Okay, good. Waiting on a few people. Megan, if you had an opinion on which prize you wanted to win the most, I'm curious as well. You can share in the group. Okay. Everybody good to go on to the next step? So just like we talked about, thanks, Amy. Thanks for letting me know. All right, is that okay? I can't figure out how to lower it at the moment. Oh, what does it say? My broiler automatically sets to 550. Okay, so if when you turn your broiler on high and it sets to 550, but you don't see the button for temperature, because you should be able to hit the temperature button and turn it down to 550, that's totally fine. You can cook it at 500, but move your tray to the very bottom shelf in your oven. Now, when we're cooking in the broiler, we want to use our senses. We want to listen. Is that meat sizzling? Is it popping? Is the grease popping? We want to use our nose. Ooh, I can smell that beef. That smells good. And we're going to check on it. As soon as we can hear it and we can smell it, we're going to get in that broiler. So if your oven is set to 550 and you can't turn it down, you need to listen and smell. Okay, that's fine, Megan. You're just watching. I understand. Yep. If your broiler doesn't say a temperature, but it just says high or low, we want to go for high. Okay, we want to go for 500 degrees or more. I prefer 500 and not 550, but you can do 550. Just move your tray to the bottom shelf and then pay attention because yours is going to cook faster than mine. Okay, so now that we've got our meat in the oven, I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. While I'm doing that, go ahead and write that down on your paper. 10 minutes broil, middle rack, if you want to do this again later. Hey, we're 1/3 of the way through this recipe, y'all. Let's keep going. Remember that big pot of water that we filled? Let's grab that. Or you can take your potatoes over to your stove. I'm bringing it here so you guys can see. And we've got our pre-diced sweet potatoes from the grocery store. Look at this. We're halfway done with making mashed potatoes, guys. That's it. You see how easy this can be if you have the right recipes? Pop your diced sweet potatoes into your pot of cold water. Let's cover it with a lid and rip it on high, okay? So we got our beef in the oven, in the broiler. We've got sweet potatoes in a big pot of, well, not a medium pot of cold water, covered with a lid, and we're gonna turn that to high. Now that's gonna take about maybe 15 minutes to come to a boil. Okay, and then it'll probably take another 10 minutes to actually cook those potatoes until they're soft enough. And then we'll strain them over the sink and we'll put them back in the pot and then we'll mash them with butter and milk. Okay, let's keep going. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on. Lizzie, yours says fireworks when you do a thumbs up. Teresa, are you good to go on to the next step? Thumbs up, okay. We good? All right. All right, so let's do our green beans. Again, super easy because we bought a bag of pre-chopped green beans. If you weren't able to find this, I hope you trimmed these before class. All you have to do is take the ends off. So now for this sheet tray, we have our second sheet tray. We want to put parchment on this one. So let's go ahead and cover this sheet tray with parchment paper. I'm just going to fold the ends over because I don't want parchment paper flying around in the oven where it can catch on fire, okay? So if you have a gas oven, there's going to be real like live flames there in the broiler. That's another thing I forgot to mention, guys. I'm so sorry. If you're working in a gas oven, let's do everything right now on the bottom rack just to be safe. Sorry, I completely forgot to mention that. Just to get a feel for it. the meat is not going to burn, but anything especially that's on like paper, we need to do on the bottom rack just to get a feel for how hot your broiler runs, okay? Give me a thumbs up when your sheet tray is lined with parchment paper. Thumbs up, Deb. Thumbs up, Desiree. Teresa's good. Melinda's good. All right, Lizzie's good. All right, guys, all we have to do is crack open this bag, dump these little cuties on there, and then I like to pick through and remove any like stems that shouldn't be there. I just use my hands for this part. Because these are machines that destem these, it's not perfect. Mine, okay. Somebody says Matthew Smith on their computer. Okay, Teresa. Teresa, can you just put in the chat Teresa and then whatever your last name is and then equals Matthew Smith or something like that, and then I'll know. Are you able to use a different vegetable instead of beans? Any type of vegetable you like. I just chose beans because it's Thanksgiving, right? Normally for my clients, I'll actually make a flare-free bechamel sauce to mimic green bean casserole, and I'll put that in here with the shepherd's pie, but I didn't want to overcomplicate things and scare you guys. You're like, oh my God, a bechamel sauce. What's that? No, we're going easy today. You can do peas, frozen peas. You can do frozen peas and carrots. I think carrots and mashed sweet potatoes is too sweet and too many carbs, so I might stay away from that. Maybe do a white potato or something. I don't know, just to mix it up. What else could you do? Any other suggestions? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Thank you, Teresa Smith. That bechamel is the best, said Megan. Yeah, Megan's made my, what is it? Flare-free, was it the, it was the chicken pot pie, wasn't it? That you made that had the bechamel sauce? Oh, so good. Another note. If you want to make this as a casserole and layer it and bake it for an hour, I would go ahead and run my knife through these beans and chop them up into smaller bite-sized pieces. But since we're doing bowls, we're going to use a fork, and we can even have a fork and a knife and just eat our green beans like that. So that way we don't have to chop this. So from here, we're going to oil, right? You're going to spray it with your avocado oil. We're going to salt and pepper. And when you sprinkle from up high, your salt will evenly spread instead of coming in like little clumps and having like super salty beans in one bite and then undersalted beans in another. So don't be afraid to really just like exaggerate how high you're sprinkling down, and it should fall like snow nicely for you. So go ahead and spray your beans evenly with oil, not too much, but not too little, just right? And then we're going to do salt and pepper. And then to this, we're going to add a splash of water, and that's going to help the beans kind of steam through as they cook in the broiler. So we're looking to get a little bit of color on the edges, but then a nice tender, soft green bean on the inside. So let's give it, I'm going to measure for you guys so you can see. Normally I just wing it, but let me measure for you so you can see how much, okay? I'm doing half a recipe, okay? So I only have 12 ounces of green beans, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of water. So if you're doing the full amount, I would do 4 tablespoons of water. No, do 3. Do 3 tablespoons of water, just to be sure. Another thing that this helps with is so that our parchment paper stays moist in the oven and doesn't burn. If you have a gas oven, or maybe you have the oven that doesn't go below 550 when you hit broil to high, feel free to like spray the edge of the parchment paper that's exposed and isn't covered with beans and water and oil. Spray that with some avocado oil. We don't want a fire, guys, right? Okay. The last thing we're going to add to this, and I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait for you guys to give me a thumbs up. So far, we've got green beans, salt and pepper, oil, and some water. 2 to 3 tablespoons of water on a sheet tray that's covered with parchment paper. If you want to go the extra mile, if you have a super high power gas oven with an open flame and spray this extra edges of parchment paper with oil, that's great. Don't be afraid. Just know sometimes the parchment paper is going to turn brown and like burn and fall apart. It's all good. We're going to be fine. Okay. As long as we don't have a fire, we're golden. Now, the last thing we're going to add to this, just for fun, it's the holidays, okay? There's no bechamel sauce, so that's really sad. So we're going to add some butter, okay? My Kroger did not have Miyoko's vegan butter, so I had to get the Kerrygold. That's my second best recommendation. Actually, let me show you what they brought me. I forgot about this. They brought me Earth Balance, and I told them I went the extra step to tell them what I wanted as a replacement because I didn't have time to stand by my phone. And I asked for Kerrygold as a replacement if they didn't have Miyoko's, because this stuff is just margarine, okay? The number one ingredient is vegetable oil and palm oil, canola oil, soybean oil. So this is just margarine, and it's full of inflammatory oils. And so this is trash. And so what I told them was that it was a poor replacement, and they refunded me for it. So this is why I love Instacart. If they F up, you just tell them what they did, and they'll give you a credit towards your account. Now, my potatoes are boiling. Is anybody else's water boiling already? Let's go take a look. If your water's boiling, let's take the lid off. Yes, Amy, did you have a question? Okay, let's take the lid off if our water's boiling.
My meat is also browned.
Okay, all right. If you can smell your meat, if it's browned, let's take it out and look at it, okay? Anybody has a question at this point right now, just unmute and ask me, because I'm going to turn my back and look at my meat, okay?
Okay, so my husband is allergic to cashews. So
Okay,
we can't do that butter that you mentioned.
yep.
And I have alpha gal, so I can't do real butter. So what
Okay.
can I use? Because that's what I use is the Earth Balance.
He's allergic to cashews, right?
Yes.
Okay, Miyoko's also has an oat butter, comes in a tub. That's what you need to buy.
I have not been able to find that anywhere. I'm lucky to even get the cashew Miyoko's butter.
Then you're going to have to use whatever you can use, and then make sure that you're doing your best to not eat a ton of other inflammatory stuff if you're using a lot of butter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Flare-free is not going to be perfect 100% of the time, right? So if I had a dairy allergy, I wouldn't be able to use this, but I don't have a dairy allergy. If I eat cheese and milk and all that stuff all the time, I'll have pain. So I know my limits, and so it's not worth it for me. Sorry, let me grab my meat really quick.
All right, my meat is brown, but still a little bit red in the center. Is that okay? Or wait till it's completely browned?
Great question. So at this point, I don't want to spill. Hold on. Let me drain this off a little bit. Normally I don't drain the liquid, and I'll tell you why in a second. So your meat will look like this, right? I wish I had my overhead camera so you could see it better. It'll look brown. But if we were to take our wooden spoon that we pulled out when we were mise en placing and go ahead and break it up, let's see. Ooh, is it fully cooked? No, it's not. Pretty much raw on the inside, right? So it needs more time. A pound of ground beef in the oven, when you spread it out thin like this, usually takes about 13 to 15 minutes at 500 degrees in the broiler on the middle rack.
Mine is complete brown, even in the middle.
Okay, if yours is completely done, you've broken it up and it's done, just take it out and let it cool. Set it aside. I'll tell you what we're going to do with it next. That is very, very important point that you just made. My oven is not your oven. Your oven is going to cook like your oven. Your oven may say 500 degrees, but it may be running 525, maybe running 550, right? Okay. Not all ovens are calibrated, right? So absolutely, you did the right thing. Always want to use your senses, check on your meat, look and see if it's done. If it's done, it's done. My recipes are a guide, but never cook anything past the point of it being done. Did that answer the question? Okay, mine is not done. So I'm going to put it back in the oven on the middle rack and set a timer for 3 minutes. And then we'll check it, and it's probably going to need another 2 for me in my 500-degree oven.
Can you use the silicone baking mats instead of parchment paper?
Yes, that is listed on the recipe. Yep, you absolutely can. The only reason I don't when I'm meal prepping is because you have to wash them. It's another thing to wash. I find, especially if I'm using them with meat, they get greasy and I have to hand wash them and then put them in the dishwasher. So it slows me down, but absolutely 100% can. Now, just as I'm thinking about it, my water was boiling like ridiculously high, so I turned it down a little bit. So mine is on like 7 right now instead of 10. So if your water is boiling and it's popping out of the pan, we can turn it down a little bit. It doesn't need to boil that crazy.
Does all of the butter go in little chunks on top of the green beans?
Hey, you're a step ahead of me. So I'm going to do, I have half a recipe here, and I'm just going to do 1 big pat of butter, and I'm going to cut it into 4 even parts and just spread it around. So if you're doing a full recipe, go ahead and do like 2 pads, AKA 2 tablespoons, and cut them into 4 chunks and just spread them around like this. Because here's the thing, guys, these green beans are going to take a while to cook in the oven. So we're going to have to mix them a couple times. Okay. So after you've gotten 2 tablespoons, if you're doing the full recipe, or 1 tablespoon, cut into 4 little cute little pieces and sprinkle it on top of your green beans like so. Give me a thumbs up and we'll put them in the oven together at the same time. Yay! Lizzie's ready, Deb's ready, Melinda's ready. Matthew's ready. Wait, who was Matthew? Hold on, what did it say? Let me see, hold on, I gotta go back. Somebody's, Teresa. Teresa's ready. Okay, we good to go, guys? Okay, Desiree's ready. All right, let's do it. Let's go ahead and pop this again on the middle rack of the oven with the broiler set to high at 500. If your beef is still in there and you don't have space for 2 racks, we can move the beef to the top and put the green beans on the bottom because the beef doesn't need much more time. We just don't want to cook too close to the top of the broiler because we don't want our food to burn on the outside before it's cooked through on the inside. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Deb.
Since I'm using mushrooms in place of a pound of meat, when do I cook them, or do I just
Are they pre-chopped, like from the grocery store, or did you
they're
chop
sliced? Yeah, no,
Okay.
they're pre-sliced.
I would put them in already. I'm sorry. We should have put them in with the meat because they should take about 10 minutes. You know,
Okay.
because from the grocery store, they're kind of cut thick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm doing a half sheet tray, so I was able to fit both of mine on the middle rack. If you had to put your meat on the top, my 3-minute timer is about to go off. So I would check it and see if it's done on the inside.
My meat's done.
Okay, Doug, yours is done. I'm gonna check my meat and see, just by literally just cutting some of these larger pieces in half. Okay, yeah, mine's done. This is like a really cheap little flimsy Walmart sheet tray. I can't hold it and do that. Okay, yeah, mine's done. So once yours is done, you can just take it out and let it cool, and I'll show you what we're gonna do with it. So to let it cool, let's just set it aside. Let's not keep it on the stove. When you've pulled your meat out, let me know and we'll go back to our potatoes. Give me a thumbs up when you've pulled your meat out. How long to cook green beans? The green beans will probably take about 15 minutes. Oh, good job, Teresa. I just set a timer for our green beans for 10 minutes right now. I can't do real butter because, okay, yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry. Making it later on. Okay. Okay. Let's see. My alpha gal. I'm sorry. Who's the one with alpha gal? Where did that go? Okay, it's Teresa. Okay, Teresa. I would highly suggest you search or go to the Miyoko's website and see. You can type in your zip code and see where they have that butter near you and just stock up on it. Because it's the same formula, but it doesn't have nuts. Okay. All right. Are we good? Did everybody's meat finish?
Yes.
Or not? Yeah. Thumbs up from Desiree. Thumbs up from Deb. Melinda's good. Okay. Let's wait on Teresa. Teresa's good. All right. When your meat is out, okay, and you've set it aside, it's not on top of the stove because we want it to cool. Let's go ahead and take a peek at our potatoes. So what I like to do is grab one with my wooden spoon and push it against the side of the inside of the pot to see if it falls apart. Let's see if it's quote unquote fork tender, right? But we're using a wooden spoon to check. I chopped my potatoes thick because I know they usually kind of come in a large cube from the grocery store pre-chopped. And I may have chopped mine a little too thick. So mine are not done yet. But if yours are tender, we have to strain them. So at this point, we'll have to watch them and see, especially based on the size, okay? Because we don't want to overcook them because then they could like really absorb water and then just become liquidy and horrible mush. Mine are tender. Okay, Teresa, when you pull one out, put it on the cutting board and like take a little piece and eat it just to be sure. Sometimes it can be deceiving where we can cut it easily with a wooden spoon, but then it's like still a little al dente and it's hard to mash when it's not perfectly tender. So if your potatoes are tender, physically take one out, put it on your cutting board, and then take a little piece and taste it. Okay, all right, Teresa, if your potatoes are done, go ahead and strain them off into the sink. And then put your sweet potatoes back in the pot after the liquid's all strained off. And then you can turn the heat off and just set it back on the stove. All right, we're at a little bit of a lull right here. If we were prepping multiple dishes, we would just move on to the next dish. So while we're waiting for our potatoes to cook, I'm going to walk you guys through what you're going to do for the next two recipes after we're gone, okay? So the packet was in order of Thanksgiving shepherd's pie bowls, because those are going to take the longest because you have to boil water and then you got to cook the potatoes and then you got to cook the other components, right? And then the egg bake. The egg bake is next because eggs take about 20 to 30 minutes to cook in the oven. But the thing I want to say about that is I believe and we can decide on this in a little bit. I believe I should have put the salad second because the protein for the salad, if you're going to make shrimp or chicken or steak, we can cook that in the broiler next because we have to turn our oven down to 350 to cook eggs. Otherwise, they're going to burn and be brown and yucky and gross. So I think if you don't mind, if you stapled yours, if you don't mind, take that staple out and let's redo the order to shepherd's pie bowls first, salad next, and then eggs. So if you want to write a note on the top, protein for salad, and then turn oven to 350. Because that's what you're going to do next. After we leave, after I say goodbye and I get my glass of wine and I'm on the couch waiting for your questions. Sorry for you guys, but you're going to keep the broiler on and you're going to cook your steak or your chicken or your shrimp exactly how I told you to do it in the ingredients. So I'd love to know, what protein did you guys choose if you chose a protein for this one? Oh, thanks for your answer, Megan. If it were me, I would do steak with this because it's easy and it's delicious. But we also have, I chose ground beef for the shepherd's pie, which I realized I wanted to do turkey in my mind for Thanksgiving theme, and I grabbed ground beef. So I probably wouldn't do steak because I just did ground beef. So I probably would do chicken. And for chicken, I broil it on the bottom shelf of the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes. And then usually I'll stick it right under the broiler for like a minute or two to get some color on it. So if you want to tell me which protein you're going to use, I'll walk you through how to cook it, even though the recipe is very detailed. Okay, chicken breast, emu steak. Hey, let's go, baby. I'm doing ground emu for the shepherd's pie. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, good. Egg bake says we cook the sausage. Okay, good. Well, that's maybe why I put it second then. Ooh, that's a good catch. Oh, it's a tough call because I think we should keep salad second because then we transition to eggs and we're on eggs. Does that make sense? I think we should keep salad second, but thank you for catching that. That's amazing. Let's take a second to check our potatoes and see if they're tender. and then I'll walk you guys through how to do the chicken. Okay, my potatoes are falling apart when I push them with the wooden spoon, but they're not as tender as I want them to be, so I'm gonna let them keep going, okay, while I talk you through the chicken. So the number one thing when you're cooking chicken in the broiler is you wanna make sure your chicken is like at room temperature. It's not coming freezing cold from a fridge and going into a 500-degree oven. That will shock your meat and it'll seize it up and it'll be firm and rubbery and it won't be tender and juicy and delicious. So if you haven't already, you wanna take your chicken out now if you're doing that for the salad, okay? Then you're gonna put it on, you're using bison for bowls, yum, awesome. You're gonna put it on a parchment paper lined sheet tray. You're gonna spray it with oil, salt and pepper, yummy, really good. You wanna really do the salt and pepper nice so that it has some color on top and it's not pale when it comes out of the broiler. Cook it for about 15 to 18 minutes on the bottom rack and then put it towards the top and just get color on it. If you don't have an internal thermometer, a meat thermometer, you're going to have to cut your chicken in half and see if it's done. I like to just instant or probe it with an instant read thermometer, the thickest part of the chicken, and it should reach 165. This is all written in there for you. Let me double check that I put the temperature. I did. Okay, good. I even did Celsius because we have a bunch of people that joined us from England. So I'm patting myself on the back for that. All right, I just got a whiff of green bean. So let's go in our oven and check on our green beans and give them a toss with those tongs that we pulled out for our mise en place. Let's toss our green beans and give them a mix with that butter and that water and see how they're doing. And the doneness of your green bean will be dependent on how you like your green beans. I like mine tender. I don't like them like super crispy. So I'm going to cook these until they have some color on them. So mine are like halfway done. Still a long ways to go.
Mine are getting burned on top.
Burned?
Yeah, I have a new oven.
Okay.
And I had it on the high broiler, so I just lowered it to the low, but it's on the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
And it's still getting like black burned.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so low is definitely where we want to go. Did you do one bag, or 2 bags?
2 bags. And I did the water, like you said, around that thing. And the paper is brown.
Yeah, the paper might brown, but can you show me the green beans?
Yeah. Sure.
So did you not smell that at all?
I'm smelling the other stuff.
Okay.
Other stuff.
The beef and stuff? Yeah.
I can't turn my phone around.
Oh, no.
I just did. Yeah.
I don't see your picture.
Okay. Now I'm at my phone, but I don't know how to turn it around. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Okay. So I just flipped them.
Okay.
But you can see.
Oh,
like,
I see. Okay, hold on. Let me pull
black.
Hold on. Let me pull your video up high. Let me pull your video up like individually so I can see it. Hold on. Why isn't it not letting me do that? Hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to see it close. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's totally fine. Take it out. That looks normal to me. Actually, that looks like what we want. Pull that out. Pull it out of the oven and put it on top so I can see it a little bit better.
Like pull the whole tray out?
Yeah, pull the whole tray out. Pop it right on top of the stove. Close your oven.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, or put it wherever you need to. If you're everybody else, if your potatoes are still boiling, don't forget about them. Let's check them. Honey baby, let me tell you, that looks like a perfectly cooked green bean to me. That is not burnt. So go ahead and pick one up and
Okay.
taste it and see if it's done to your liking. If you want them softer, we're going to put them back in. If it needs another splash of water, let's give it another splash of water. You're looking good, baby. I wish mine looked like that.
Yeah, they're done.
Okay, good. Perfect.
They're almost too mushy.
Okay, is anybody else's potatoes done and ready to be strained? Give me a visual. Hold on, let me turn it back to gallery view so I can see everybody. Okay, Lizzie's ready to go. Thumbs up from Lizzie. Okay, let's go ahead and take our potatoes and strain them into the sink, okay? So after you strain the water off, pop it back into your hot pot and put this back on the stove, but with the burner turned off. We want the residual heat of the pot to absorb and evaporate any residual water that's on the bottom of the pot. So let's go ahead and take our potatoes, pop them back in the pot without water, put it back on the stove without the burner on, okay? So for Teresa, were you the same person that said that your oven only goes to 550? Or was it somebody else?
No, mine doesn't get measurement or anything. It just says high or
It says
low.
high or low. Okay, I bet your high is more than 500. That's my guess. With the egg bake, you said use half a container of onion. I cut a purple onion. How much should I use of that? So half a container of pre-diced onion is probably about 8 ounces. So you need to do 4 ounces, which is, excuse me, a half a cup.
Okay.
How do you know when so what I was going to say about your green beans, Teresa, if you feel like they're overcooked, the good thing about the way that we're cooking them right now, obviously you want to make sure we're not cooling them on top of the stovetop because that's going to have heat, right? We want to put them to a cold area. But when you have your food on a sheet tray, it cools way faster. If it was piled up in like a pot or a saute pan, it would continue to steam and carry over cook even more. So don't worry, your green beans should be okay. For everybody else that likes a tender, crisp green bean, go ahead and get in that oven and check on them. If you want it to be more crunchy than soft, check on them now. Let's see what's going on in there. I'm going to check on mine too. They smell good. They look pretty. But I like mine with a lot more color and also more tender. So I'm actually going to move mine to the top rack of my oven. It's not like right under my broiler, but it's actually, I guess, the second shelf in the oven. I'm going to move mine up to get some color and expedite things because these have been in there already for like 20 minutes. So if you feel the same way, like your green beans are a little bit, they're nearly done, but I just want color on them. So I'm going to crank it. So that means I'm going to put it closer to the heat source. You can do the same if you'd like. If yours are done, you can pull them out, put them in a cold area. Don't put them on top of the stove. Let them cool. All right, let's come back to center and give me a thumbs up when you've done all that. Lizzie's done. All right, we're done. Let's go ahead and take our butter, right? If you're using Miyoko's, I would just start with half a block. That's normally what I do. I'm just going to go a little bit easy on it because this is Kerrygold. I'm going to do whatever this is. This isn't even half a block because I've already used some. Go ahead and put your butter on your mashed potatoes, I mean. I'm going to bring mine here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, add your butter. Now the heat from the pot and the heat from the mash or the potatoes is going to help melt that butter, right? I might do a little bit more because that doesn't look like enough. Okay. Then we're going to add about 3 to 4 tablespoons of milk. I'm using plain unsweetened almond milk. I recommend almond milk first just because it's a neutral flavor. If you can't have nuts, you want to reach for like an oat milk. It has to say unsweetened on it though. If it says original, it's going to be sweet. And we can't make savory food with sugar-filled milk. So add your butter and add a splash of milk. And then add a big pinch of salt. And give me a thumbs up when you've done those 3 things. When you've added butter, about half a block of Miyoko's. Thumbs up, great. About 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk. We can always add more. And then a couple big pinches of salt and pepper. Once you've got that all in there, just take your potato masher and just mash it. This year was my first year ever growing sweet potatoes, and I'm not going to lie, I'm definitely going to be growing these every year. This is really fun. Okay, my mashed potatoes are pretty thick. I'm going to show you. They're thick. Oops. I like them to be a little bit more creamy and a little bit softer. So me personally, I'm going to add, okay, Teresa, looks a little thick too, but you guys can taste it. You can
There's like
taste it.
nothing in here for these sweet potatoes. I did what you said, but I used the frozen pre-diced ones and I used 1.5 containers. But this is like, when I make mashed potatoes, they're like halfway up the pan or better. This is barely covering the bottom when they're mashed.
Yeah. Is anybody else having the same thing? Was the pre-diced 1.5 containers too little? Okay, I was nervous about that too. So I did 2 sweet potatoes fresh, which gave me about 4 cups of diced potatoes. What size was your sweet potato container? Did it say what the size was?
It was a bag.
Oh, it's a bag.
Yeah, it says it was 12 ounces.
Okay.
I had fresh ones, but I bought the frozen because I didn't realize I could use the fresh.
Mine was 18 ounces.
Okay. And yours was 18 ounces and it's still too little for 1.5 containers. Okay, so should we do 2.5 containers, do you think? Or just do 3 containers? 3 sounds like a lot. When I get the pre-diced from the grocery store, it's like 4 cups of potatoes. I don't know what the size was that you guys got. I should have put 4 cups on there. That's my fault. For this recipe, you can see on here, I had to check just to be sure. It says 1.5 containers of pre-diced sweet potato. It doesn't say frozen. I don't recommend using frozen potatoes for mashed potatoes only because you lose a lot of volume when you boil frozen potatoes.
I couldn't find them unless I get them from the Amish, the sweet potatoes. So unless I would have used those, I couldn't find them already pre-diced in the container unless it was frozen. I went to 3 different stores.
Oh yeah, okay. Couple things. Number 1, don't go to different stores. I put pre-diced on there because I want you guys to be able to cook as quickly as possible. But if you have to dice 4 sweet potatoes, dice 4 sweet potatoes, right? Also, that's my fault. I did not put enough. I was estimating because I was trying to make it easy for you guys, and I did not like test this recipe. So we have to make more mashed potatoes for these bowls. We're not going to do them now. Okay, so what you can do is the day that you serve these, make some mashed potatoes while you're, right before you go to put your meal prep in the oven to reheat it. Get your potatoes started first, and then put your meal prep in the oven and start reheating that, and then add some more potatoes. Does that make sense? If you have time today, if you're only making shepherd's pie bowls, you can make more if you have more sweet potatoes. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries. I'm just going to add 2 bags for my recipe next time.
Okay. I think physically we should take our pen. I've been looking, I don't know where my pen went. I think we should double what the recipe calls for. I put 1.5 containers because I thought maybe a half a container for the eggs And then I didn't want to, it's funny because I edited that because I was like, God, that seems like a lot of potatoes. And I don't want to make you guys eat too many, like eat more potatoes than protein. I'd rather you have more protein and vegetables. So I went back and I deleted that and made it 1.5 versus 3. So it's funny. It should be 3. I think we should keep it at 3. I'm going to edit that. And then let's find my pen. And then you guys will just have to make more, unfortunately.
If you chop your own potatoes, how many do you think that would be then?
So I did 1 large and 1 medium. And for me, this is enough mashed potatoes for 4 people. Let me show you what mine looks like. It's more than 4 cups of potatoes.
Great, thank you.
So I would do 1 large and 1 medium, or just do 2 large, you know, just to be safe. These still don't look like they're soft enough for me. I don't know. I'm just like I like a really like nice soft mashed potato. So I'm going to add more milk. I pulled my green beans out because they're done. So if you're only making shepherd's pie bowls today and your green beans are done, you can turn your broiler off. If you're going to continue on and make the salad and then the egg bake, you can leave your broiler on. This is what my green beans look like. At this point, we want to get a fork and taste all the components of our shepherd's pie bowls. And then I'll show you how we package this. And then I'll finish talking about the salad and the egg bake. So you guys can continue on. So let's grab a tasting spoon. Let's grab our meat. Oh, here's my pen. Found it. Double mashed potatoes. So I said that in the beginning for the folks that came in late. I actually talked about that in the very beginning. I said, I'm going to do the full 1.5 containers, even though I'm only making half a recipe, because I wasn't sure that it was enough potatoes. Okay, grab your potatoes, grab your meat, grab your green beans, grab a tasting spoon. Let's taste everything and see. Does it need more salt? Does it need more pepper? Do our mashed potatoes need more butter? And then what we're going to do for our meat is physically get our hands in there. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can use a spoon to break it up. It just takes longer. I usually get my hands in there and I just break it up into smaller pieces because there might be some large chunks that never got broken up. If you start breaking it up and your meat looks underdone and you want to zip it back in the oven, you can. It should just be ground up, right?
Everything tastes so good. I'm starving.
It tastes good already?
Yes. I'm so hungry now.
Okay, the meat tastes good. If it needs more salt and pepper, go ahead and add it. Ooh, my potatoes taste good too.
Mine too.
I'm going to add a little bit more salt to mine. Maybe a little bit more pepper too.
This tastes really yummy. I think we're just going to have this for dinner.
That's totally fine. That's one dinner you're ready to eat. Okay. And then let's taste our beans. If you want to eat this for dinner, I would say I'd probably, gosh, what time is that? It's 3 o'clock. My green beans are just like ever so slightly undersalted. I'm just going to put a tiny little pinch and mix it in. Well, you can let it cool completely. Pop it in the fridge for a couple hours or an hour and a half. I don't know what time you guys eat dinner. We eat dinner early. And then pop it, like you can let it cool on the sheet tray, cover this, put this in the fridge, and then just take this straight to the oven. That's what I would do. if you're going to eat it tonight. An alternative, you might lose a little bit of the green beans, especially if they're already cooked perfectly. You can cover it all with foil and put it in the oven at like 190 and keep it until dinner time. Maybe not the green beans though, because they will continue to steam and they'll get overcooked.
So do we layer this now?
Nope. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do. So are you guys ready to move on to the next part? Okay.
Yep.
Let's grab our storage containers. If you're using just like regular old lasagna pan, Pyrex dishes, whatever you use Tupperware wise. I'm going to do 4 of these containers that I'm giving away tomorrow.
Can I just put this in like a 9x13 baking dish? Because I have 7 of us.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, you can put all of your separate components in baking dishes, cover it with cling wrap, or if you have, some of them have those like plastic lids that go on top. Yeah, you can use family style. The only time, I'm sorry, some people came in late, so I felt like I already said this, but I'll repeat it. The only time I really 100% recommend using the individual ones is if you're taking it to work.
But for reheating, if you're doing like a 9x13 pan, how long would it take to reheat so that it reheats in the middle and everything?
So for this is a shepherd's pie bowl. You're going to keep all of your components separate and reheat them separately. And then you're going to build the bowl. And I'm going to show you how to build one. I just grabbed a bowl to show you guys because that's the concept of this dish. It's just going to taste better like that. If you were to layer it and put it in the oven, you can cover it with foil and bake it like a casserole for like an hour. You can do that too.
Okay.
I personally would cut the green beans if I was going to do a casserole because this is going to be a little bit hard to scoop and eat with green beans like this. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you're going to do these in meal prep containers like for dinner or lunch or whatever, let's do let's do meat on one side, mashed potatoes on the other. This is how I personally would do it. You guys can play around with this and do it however you want. It's your food. And then I would just do like green beans in the middle like that. That's for meal prep containers. That's how I would do it. Trying to get it centered into that camera for you guys. Yeah, it looks really dark in here. I've got you guys all on like gallery view so I can see everybody. And so it's hard
Can
to
you show that again?
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful, Lizzie. Can you see it good? So I put ground beef on one side, I put mashed potatoes on the other, and I put the green beans in the middle. If you want to build these tonight after you reheat everything separately, right? If you want to just package everything separately and reheat everything separately, which by the way, guys, the mashed potatoes, they're going to need extra butter and extra milk when you reheat them if you want them to taste the way they taste right now. So don't be afraid to add a splash of milk, add a pat of butter, cover it with foil, bake it until it's, warm, and then mix it in and taste and adjust. When you add a splash of milk, you're going to dilute that seasoned flavor that we got from adding salt. So you might have to add another pinch of salt. That's why I love for this recipe, if we're eating them as bowls, to package all of the individual components separately. Okay. So we got a little bowl here. I'm just going to sprinkle some meat on the side. Oops. You guys can play around with this however you want. Got mashed potatoes on one side, meat on the other, and I'm just going to layer in some green beans like this. This camera is annoying. I'm sorry, guys. That's why I had my phone set up for an aerial shot, but that didn't work out. Let me show you. I'm trying to get a little bit closer. So after this, you're going to cook your protein for your salad. While your protein's cooking, especially because there were a lot of people that are making chicken, right? If you're using shrimp, you can cook shrimp in 3 to 5 minutes. If you're cooking steak, it's more like, 8 minutes. But that chicken's going to take about 18 to 20 minutes all said and done. And so you can throw in your ground turkey sausage at the same time to get that broiler done with. Okay, so you're going to cook your protein for your salad and the sausage for your egg bake at the same time in the broiler. Then you can come back while that's cooking and work on whatever else you want to work on. Okay. I would also put let's see, did I say to broil? Yeah, I did. That's probably why I put the egg bake. I worked on this. I changed it several times. That's probably why I can't remember. Okay, let me edit that. You're going to cook your protein for your salad, especially if you're doing chicken. That's going to take 20 minutes. That's got to get in the broiler. You're going to cook your turkey for your egg bake, as well as the sweet potatoes and the onions and the kale. Those 3 things are going to be cooked in the broiler. Then you get to turn your broiler down to 350, turn the oven down to 350, and you get to bake your eggs. And then when the eggs are baking, you can come back, assemble your salads, make your dressing, package everything up, start loading up the dishwasher. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about anything right now? Do our shepherd's pie bowls look good and taste good? Are we feeling good about those?
They look and taste delicious. And I'm going to bug out because I'm not doing the other 2 recipes today.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Awesome.
thanks.
Thank you.
That was
Have
fun.
a good day. All right, Suzette. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, guys, have the best day. If you have questions, post them in the group for me and I'll answer them there. Thanks for joining me. Bye, guys.